I saw someone finishing a 50-50 heel hook in the UFC 1 promo. It was like some chubby dude in a karate gi, like inside heel hook and another dude. And you go, huh. Well, I didn't know they were doing that back then, at least. And whether they were doing it all, how many times does someone do something and then that works? And then we go, okay, cool. Versus, hey, maybe we should do that all the time. So anyway, how long were we all taught to do the seatbelt the way we all do the seatbelt in jiu-jitsu? Like, long time. Why? It works. In fact, it works so well. And then the people who used it were so prolific that we went, well, solved that one. Good to go. All right. No more thinking. And then you go, imagine you were to like the Merkel flip, all those positions that we're showing in the DVD, which is pretty much, or the, whatever the heck it is, I don't know, the digital VD. No, not VD. I don't want that. Digital video something. But basically recognizing that doing it on the wrong side is at least as effective. Doesn't mean that the other side wasn't good. There could be something that's the literal borderline opposite of that. And you go, huh. Well, ain't that something? Like, imagine, like, I would say almost all of these things, all the tactics and all the strategies. So I guess that was something that we came to, like, training in the gym, like, a year ago, maybe? I've been playing with since, and it's huge. I'm like, oh, wait, so let me get this straight. First, if I can use my strong side seatbelt, my right arm over the shoulder, all the time. Well, that's really helpful because that's a lot better than my left. I can do both sides of my left, but if I had to bet my life on being able to finish it, I would want my right arm over. Everything that's a tactic or a strategy evolved from an idea. Like, capitalism's an idea. You know, anarchy is an idea, and then it becomes, well, what does that all mean? What are the consequences? What's the fallout of all this, right? So what if we start with jiu-jitsu, the idea of the guard, right? And we go, well, I mean, why do you use the guard? No other martial art really has developed the guard in the same way that jiu-jitsu has. Well, what is the guard? A guard's a defensive idea where you're kind of on your back to some extent or another, and you're using your legs as a wall between you and the other person, and the other guy represents danger. And you're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Is it? I mean, it clearly works, at least to a certain extent. But where do I want to put my legs when I want to get up? Not on the other dude. I'm trying to put them things on the floor. If I want to generate a ton of power, what's the first thing I do with my feet? I anchor them to the floor. Drive for a punch, you name it. Move away, jump, dart, you name it. So does it mean that that's a terrible idea to be on your back? No, clearly it works. And clearly it has function. But what if the function that we're giving it and how much focus we're assigning to it is disproportionate to its effectiveness?
Yeah.
Maybe, what if it's not a good idea? I'm not saying it's not a good idea, but what if it wasn't? That's a foundational idea of jiu-jitsu. And then because no one questions that foundation, how much innovation is built on top of the idea? Well, of course I want to being on my back is an okay position. So now they're innovating, but they're innovating within a closed system that they think they're innovating in this open space of, oh my God, it could be anything. When in reality, it could be anything within this little set.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that you're in a set. You don't realize that you're in a box. There would be answers that would become so immediately apparent to you if you were willing to look outside of that. But you'll literally never even look over to your left because you don't even realize the left exists.
Do you think there's a lot of places in jiu-jitsu, whether it's back control or generally guards and all the different positions, where there's a lot of space, like a lot to be discovered by questioning the basic assumptions?
Yes,
maybe if you can give examples of like back control, like, is there something you've discovered that's like
Merkel versus seatbelt?
What's Merkel? What's seatbelt?
Seatbelt is right arm over the shoulder, left arm under the arm. I'm on the same side as my choking arm. Merkel is just, I do the same thing. I don't even adjust my hands. I walk myself over to the left side. I'm on the opposite side. It's actually a more powerful position.
Yeah, for people listening or for people who might not know, jiu-jitsu is seatbelt is a control. We're talking about when one person is on the back of another person, which is a really dominant position in jiu-jitsu. Seatbelt is I guess, widely accepted way of holding your arm.
Best practices almost.
Best practices, yeah. And it's worked so well. So it's one arm over, one arm under, and there's a certain side you're supposed to be on when you're on the back. You know, everyone teaches there's a choking arm, that's the arm that's over, and your body's supposed to be on a certain side relative to that. And then Ryan is describing questioning these like basic assumptions of which side you're supposed to be on.
And let's say that's even just like a mid-level assumption. It's not even a first principles assumption, but it's
pretty close to.
It's getting there. But let's just say, for sake of argument, it goes a lot deeper. Maybe. I think most of the innovation that I see is not innovation. It's like basically changing the color of a car
Yeah.
or polishing like the window a little bit. We're like, hey, you made it a little bit different. You made it a little bit better. It's like, oh man, what if I did the same guard and then grab the lapel? I'm not saying that's bad, but you're not fundamentally changing anything. I think most of the big seismic shifts that we see in almost anything come from,
Yeah.
hey, that thing we thought was right was wrong, rather than not only is it right, it's even righter.
Hmm.
And you're like, that's not wrong, that's not bad, but that's you're in it's like, oh man, let's say for instance, I didn't make the triangle better, but let's say I made the triangle a little bit better than it was, or than it was taught. Um, I mean, you can call it innovation. I don't know, man. It's not like the person that said, "Hey, have you guys ever heard of a triangle before?" and came up with that. We're like, you're like, that's on the list. You can do this thing to people. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine you invented the straight right hand? You'll be like One Punch Man. You can walk around and just lay low every single person you got into a
Mhm.
fight with, because it didn't even occur to them to hit you with their backhand. In a world full of jabbers, you throw your backhand, you're gonna kill people. So
Well,
basically,
but by the way, I mean, just to pause on that, first of all, somebody did invent the triangle, probably,
for
right?
sure.
It's not a trivial thing once you think, like,
No. And
it,
how
like,
many of these giant things that we all go like, oh yeah, yeah, we all use that now. Can you imagine you have triangles and heel hooks and rear naked chokes, and I don't have those?
Mhm.
You're unbeatable. You're borderline. I mean, like that's why we all experience every single one of this, particularly those of us. I mean, when did you first start training, Lex?
12, 13 years. Well, let's not count wrestling, but 13 years ago with jiu-jitsu.
Right on. So let's say about that time where particularly it was still like kind of undergroundy,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, we all experienced being like a relative, like a mid-level white belt, and being able to easily beat up all our friends.
Yeah.
Because everyone wrestled all their buddies. And it was one of those ones where like they don't have weapons to end the fight.
Mhm.
You have weapons to end the fight. That's such a crazy, asymmetric advantage that if you lose, it's on you now, man. Like you
Yeah.
get, like you had the next time, it's like I've got this rifle and you have nothing, and I decide to put it on my back and then run over and try to karate chop. You're like, okay, next time, just make sure you use the rifle, bud. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I should do that. So
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating I mean, everything you're describing there's a fascinating tension between, like, whenever I show people for the first time what a triangle is, just like regular people, uh, it's like they're discovering, is like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I mean, MMA has changed that, but people haven't watched MMA. That's an interesting move. It doesn't make sense why that would be a choke. And they kind of quickly accept that that's a thing, and they accept the basics without questioning, wait a minute, what's actually being choked? How is it that a shoulder of a person can do the choking? Like, I'm not sure I fully question the fundamentals of all of that.
not gonna
Like,
claim I have either.
what exactly is the blood supply that's being cut off? Like, what is the anatomy and the physiology of all of that?
Why does this work? And if you understood all that, what else could we do here?
Yeah, what else can we do here? That's the really important thing.
But if I'm an end user, which almost everyone is of almost anything, I'm serious. Where I'm like, I think about stuff in my life. The only things I really think about are like martial arts and martial arts strategy, and like, I don't know, some other couple other things, but not much. And anything else in my life is borderline unexamined. And I like to think that if I put a lot of effort into something, I'd like to think that I could figure at least some things out about it. But I figured out almost nothing about anything in my life because I haven't even looked. And if you're an end user, what are you capable of versus you can literally alter the source code. You are Neo in the freaking Matrix if you can alter the code and I can't. And it's like we think, like, ah, ha, ha, ha. But imagine you are a world class anything, or even not even world class. Forget it. Like a purple belt compared to a white belt or compared to a no belt might as well be John Jones or Marcelo Garcia. You're gonna beat them up comparably bad. So it's that actually is a common thing where people can't tell the difference between levels. They're like, oh man, I've trained with my black belt instructor. How much better could so and so be? And like, so much better, you're going to have a hard time wrapping your head around it. I remember when I first trained with Marcelo Garcia in 2007, I was a decent purple belt. And of course, he mollywopped me very gently. And then trained with him again in 2008. I was definitely better. I won the gi and no gi worlds that year at purple belt. So definitely, for the record, I'm definitely not a jiu-jitsu world champion. I wanted the purple belt, but like that's not the same at winning a black belt. And tough accomplishment, but not in the same thing at all. But anyway, like I was definitely better. He beat me up just the same. I'm like, okay. 2009, I was a lot better. Got a medal at ADCC that time. Won the trials, crushed everybody. Like no, submitted everybody. Like bop 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 bop. Trained with Marcelo Garcia. It was worse. And 2010, trained with Marcelo Garcia. Same. So the idea was I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference, and the outcome difference was the same in all of these rounds. I was significantly more experienced and more adept each time that this occurred. But it was like, how many number of times did this person submit you or pass your guard in the round? I'm like, I don't know, probably like, let's say 5 each one, because it's a brief period of time. And let's say it was 3 on one, 6 on another. I'm like, whatever. It's comparable. It's 6 1 half dozen. Would I be able to easily tell the difference? No, I would just say I know in concept that he's way better.
Yeah.
So much better, but there's plenty of other people that could have beaten me just as bad as Marcelo did when I was a purple belt or when I was a brown belt. Then maybe I would watch Marcelo walk through like they're borderline not there. So it's neat. Like that's back to kind of what I was talking about certain people beginning to really like peel back some of what's really special about the martial arts or any activity, I presume, is they get to a level of understanding and depth that they're playing with like almost the reality of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing by rules that are not rules. I'm not even one of the, to use a Matrix analogy, I'm not even an agent, which is the best version of something playing by the rules.
Yes.
I'm like one of the regular people or one of the regular people that got out of the Matrix. So I'm like, oh, I'm cool. But when I fight an agent, I lose. It's because we're both in the rules, but they just play them to the bone, and I'm just here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then the agent encounters Neo, and they can do nothing. You're like, why? Because it's operating outside of what the rules are, but not really what the rules are. What they perceive to be the rules are clearly. So anyway, I guess that's kind of my point about Marcelo or certain other people that are doing things where you go, that doesn't even seem real. It doesn't seem real to me because I don't understand what's going on. And I guess if we can get down to base assumptions, like if we can constantly strip away. Let's say we always thought that turning left was correct, and it turns out that turning right was correct. You change your life.
Yeah. It's what is it? Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So you just basically have to rigorously just constantly examine every assumption over and over and over.
But doesn't that give your life meaning? To come back to the struggle, to come back to free will, to come back to what if we could strip all that away? All right, cool. All right, let me just stick the needle in my arm, and that's that.
Yeah. No, I mean that constant striving for understanding yet another lower layer of the simulation we're living in is something that's actually deeply fulfilling. That I don't know if it's genetically built in, but there's something about that striving to understand that seems to be deeply human.
It's funny. What makes us human? We don't talk about the soul anymore, man. I went to Catholic school as a kid. And whether you buy into all that stuff or not, you're like, what about the soul of a person, the spirit of a people, the spirit of a nation, anywhere, the spirit of humanity? We talk about everything like it's this quantifiable thing when maybe certain things are, maybe everything is. But then what happens if there's things that just aren't quantifiable, that nothing in our understanding can or will ever explain? And that doesn't mean that should be our assumption. It should be our assumption that we can explain everything and let's get to the dang bottom, peel. But what if there is actually something that we need challenge for?
Yeah.
And we could be looking in the wrong place by going, where is it in the genes? Maybe it is. I'm not saying we're looking in the wrong place. Like I wouldn't know anything. I do karate, but basically, not even well. Yeah, we do karate mediocre. Just ask Raymond Daniels or Stephen Thompson. But I guess to come back though, are
you a yellow belt yet, or are you?
Man, I actually have. You ever see the Seinfeld episode where Kramer fights the kids? Yeah, I did that at Raymond Daniels School under the kids won in class, as in addition to the alleyway.
Oh,
yeah,
they finished it off afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. When I was on my last legs, but yeah, I would just maybe. It's funny. I feel like there's something deeply missing from public understanding anymore. That it's almost like the idea that we can figure everything out, which I deeply believe in, but also the possibility that there's some things that we'll never really see and some things we'll never understand. And there's something, like you said, uniquely human about the human experience that even if I had the power to change, I don't want to fuck with it, man. I don't want to change that thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, well, wouldn't it be great if we just immediately knew the outcome of everything, and you just press this button, you're like, oh, that's what's the point of living life then? Even if you could do it, it's the Ian. You've seen Jurassic. Well, I'll leave you be. Sorry, I know I'm talking about Ian Malcolm, Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum, right? Life finds a way. But we were so concerned with whether or not we could, we didn't stop to think whether or not we should. Maybe.